What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about the rumor that Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, is not coming out before 2027. Eerily similar to what we just talked about yesterday with The Witcher 4. I guess the difference being, okay, this is a rumor, whereas that was confirmed. CD Projekt Red came out and, specifically said that. But ironically, yesterday, before that announcement from CD Projekt Red, there was a little bit of a back and forth on social media talking about, I guess, like a specific wording that Jason Schreier used to describe those big games that were shown off at the Game Awards, right? And what they, I guess, turned out to be was The Witcher 4 and then Intergalactic. And he kind of responded to this, and this is where we get, the news story that we're talking about right now. But again, a rumor. I mean, Schreier is very reliable, and I do think you can take his word, but it's not a confirmation from Naughty Dog. Again, unlike with CD Projekt Red, they actually confirmed it, not the actual rumor, but they just said it separately later on in that day, right? And he basically said that, neither Witcher 4 or Intergalactic is coming out in 2026, okay? That's where he left it, and then later on, Witcher 4, CD Projekt Red said, 2027 is the earliest, and they didn't give a year. So it's the same thing here. Same thing for Intergalactic. Game's not coming out in 26. Now, what I will say to this example, again, similar, all this news is happening actually the same day, but they do feel different. I will say that. I feel like they feel different because when you talk about Intergalactic, at least from me making videos on both of these almost evenly, almost the same amount of videos, I feel like I've seen, at least people online, have more belief that Intergalactic could actually come out next year versus The Witcher. I feel like everybody was kind of on the same boat that there's no way, right? There's no way the game comes out next year, that it's at least 27, if not later. Intergalactic felt different, felt like people believed it could happen. And maybe it was the belief just out of like not being embarrassing to Naughty Dog, because this is where I kind of want to go in this video. Look, Naughty Dog's made some incredible franchises. They were looked at, maybe they still are, by PlayStation as like an absolute powerhouse, right? But I mean, I want to say how the mighty have fallen. I'm not trying to discount them. And I'm also not trying to diminish what they could do. I'm a man that gives games chances. I'm a man that's going to, be interested in Intergalactic, and I'll be giving it a chance, right? We'll see if that game can be a Game of the Year contender. But from where it's at right now, at least from this angle, right? You look at what Naughty Dog has done in the PS5 gen, and it's been pathetic. There's really, and that's probably, I imagine that would maybe get me in trouble, with certain people out there. I really don't know how you defend what Naughty Dog has done. And it's not looking at it, again, like there's no path to redemption or there's no way that they can ever make a good game again. Like, I'm simply just stating the facts. We are 5 years, or we're in year 5 of the PS5. I mean, this has been said. It's not even necessarily anything new. Naughty Dog has skipped this generation, right? Now, it's maybe a little bit unfair because, right before the PS5 came out in that year, in 2020, they released The Last of Us Part 2, right? But in the entirety of the PS5 gen so far, and potentially going forward, they would have skipped it besides re-releases of sorts, right? Remasters, remakes, etc., of The Last of Us. They have just been, for the last 5 years, a Last of Us studio, and if Intergalactic doesn't come out till 2027 or maybe even 2028, you're talking about the very last year, potentially, of the PS5. So maybe this will age bad. Maybe they'll come out just like they did Last of Us Part 2. They will come out in the year that we get the PS6, but they'll come out right before. And so technically, they didn't skip the PS5. They would have, it would have happened right at the very end. Still, though, right? And look, by the way, I'm not like oblivious. I'm not purposely trying to ignore, because I'm going to bring it up right now. I know that, obviously they were doing the Last of Us multiplayer, and that fell through. If that comes out, and if they stick to their guns with that, not saying that's the right idea or the best idea, but it was a idea, right? And if they did that, they would not have skipped it. And, I mean, again, I understand, like, maybe that's not the best thing they should have done. It's just, from an optics point of view, this is a studio that is looked at, and should be looked at, rightfully so, as, like, one of the absolute... Now, I do not think they're the best. I think they once were. I do not think they are anymore in terms of PlayStation. Right? They can get back there, but I mean, I think they just really dropped the ball. So not to make it entirely, I mean, it kind of is almost a negative video, so I guess I'm sorry about that. But, look, I didn't expect Intergalactic this year. I kind of was thinking, okay, maybe it's possible it could happen next year. To be honest with you, with these games that you show a trailer and then you show nothing else, I'm thinking 2-3 years anyway. You know what I mean? If you show me a trailer and you don't give me a release date and you start to look at it and you say, okay, that's the first time they showed off that game, I'm thinking in this climate, right, that we're in the industry, that your game is years off. So is it shocking that it's 2027 or later, right? It doesn't have to be 2027. I'm not that shocked, but I do think, by the way, I think it needs to come out in 27. And I also still think that everything I just said in this video is still accurate. You know, it's just I don't know. It's not a great situation. I don't really know any other way to kind of spin it, maybe to sound a little bit more positive. Again, I'm going to try out the game. I mean, I'm going to obviously cover it as I have been and give it a try. But it's just crazy that, you know, no matter what happens, they will. And because I'm not counting. I'm not going to count these remasters and like part 1, you know, being a remake and all that stuff. I'm really not going to count those. So I look at Last was Part 2 as their last like thing, like legitimate thing, and then I would look at Intergalactic, right? So is that 7 years apart? It probably is, and I don't know how you explain that away. I don't know how you excuse a situation like that. That's just not great. But you know what? And I know, again, we focus so heavily on Naughty Dog in this video, obviously, but that is a large amount of the industry. Like, a lot of developers are taking 5-6 years, and therefore they get one game out a generation. Then see you on the next generation. You know what I mean? It's terrible. I mean, that way, I'll just say it. It's terrible. It's awful. We used to be able to get trilogies in 5-6 years. Now, if you actually do a trilogy, you're looking at like a decade and a half, or you don't even do trilogies anymore. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.